Political issues, yes, we know every time the government stands out to prove that it can have the parliament function, it can have the parliament function more than 100% of its time. You had a difficulty, you couldn't accept it. Parliamentary legislative processes or parliamentary business of the government, everything was spoken about, questioned, you raised issues, you have some or the other issue politically to constantly question the government. On economic issues, you know, GST is a classic example. The bill which the Congress party during its UPA 1 period promised, which in UPA 2 should have really got rolled out, did not see the light of the day. And when hard work of all the stakeholders, the state governments in particular, have all happened, and when the differences have been ironed out, the Congress party wants to say, no, it shall not pass the GST. A GST which has been pending from UPA 1, a GST in which a lot of Congress's chief ministers and Congress finance ministers are engaged as a part of the detailed working group. And now the GST group which is being chaired by the finance minister of Kerala, who is part of the Congress government there. And in spite of that, much against the principle of cooperative federalism, the Congress party wants to say we shall not pass the GST bill, which political parties and also experts have said, if only it is passed, it shall bring about 1 to 2% increase in our GDP. It is going to be benefiting everybody. And you are opposing a bill of that nature, which you yourself were working in your first and the second term. And similarly, on the land bill, I spoke about the political, I am telling you examples for the economic. Land bill, 2013 bill, yes, the BJP also was part of the parties which supported and which got it passed. But there is a need for amendment because Congress party's chief ministers themselves have been repeatedly saying, as the bill stands, we cannot procure land. We need to amend it has been a voice from every quarter. We hear that the Congress party tells or advises or counsels its chief minister saying, no, you won't say it any longer. Luckily, all of them had gone on record, so we can always say. And on the land bill, if the opposition is much against your own chief ministers, I wonder, I ask the Congress party, in whose interest are you speaking? Your chief ministers themselves are saying the Land Act as it stands of 2013 requires amendments. You choose the amendments, we are willing to talk with you, we shall work together with you. But no, you do not want the amendments. You do not probably even want a discussion on it, but you want to just stop it. Cooperative federalism is what we want, and here is the Congress which does not want it to happen, even in spite of their own chief ministers coming on board to say, yes, we'll tell you what the difficulties are. And today, we've reached the Congress party has reached the absolute nadir, absolute bottom in this obstructionist politics that they're doing. What are they objecting to? A peace accord which has been waiting for decades, a peace accord which quietly brings a certain peace and security for not just the Northeast but for the entire country, a peace accord in which majority of the groups have agreed and they have become a partner to it. The details are being worked out, the government will come out with it. But no, here too, the Congress party unfortunately does not have the statesmanship to see what has come out of it. Their chief ministers instantly welcomed it. And today what we hear is no, they are being advised, counseled, told to take back their words. No, you will not support this. There are enough evidences. Arunachal chief minister had come out openly. This is really historic and has happened after 6 decades, says Mr. Nainong Ering, Congress on Naga Accord. He said this to ANI. Then you have Mr. Nabam Tuki welcomed the initiative of the centre to bring a peaceful solution to the prolonged Naga political issue. Again a Twitter. Today we are hearing that the Congress party's Adhyaksha probably has counselled Mr. Tuki to delete your tweet. I hope what we've heard is not true. Are you telling your chief ministers, your members of parliament, your leaders who openly, warmly welcomed the accord which the Northeast has been looking forward to for decades and telling them not to support it? Similar and immediate and a heartfelt response again from the Assam Chief Minister. I appreciate peace in Nagaland and welcome settlement of Naga issues. I am reading the Twitter of Tarun Gogoiji. Of course, he added in it, but I will oppose tooth and nail any move that affects Assam's interest. Absolutely understandable. His tweet, I appreciate peace in Nagaland, is here. And what are we hearing? That the Congress party has chosen to tell all its chief ministers, leaders from the Northeast, no, you will not do it. Just as in the land bill, they've been told, no, you will not voice against 2013 Act. Just as in the GST, when negotiations were happening, should it be 1% more, 0.5% here, 2% for manufacturing states? No, Congress should not cooperate. On political issue, you are opposing. On economic issues, you are opposing. Today, you oppose even on national security related issues. This is, on record, the oldest party in India. Whose interest are we serving? Why are we obstructing even a much awaited peace? Cooperative federalism is something which Congress may not know or wouldn't want to work on. If I may just recollect, did we have an issue with West Bengal when on sharing of Teesta water, Dr. Manmohan Singh had gone to Bangladesh? West Bengal had a difficulty. Isn't that something which the Congress should remember? If there are stakeholders, if there are issues, if there are states which have to be consulted, the BJP or this government's record on consultation, I've given you examples, whether it is your GST bill, whether it is your land bill, whether it is your Make in India campaign, we have constantly been consulting state governments. We have been constantly consulting chief ministers. They've been sometimes invited to come to Delhi even before Niti Aayog was reconstituted. The planning commission, erstwhile planning commission, was to be reconstituted. All the chief ministers were brought in. So the Congress may be finding it a bit difficult to adjust to the thought of cooperative federalism. But even as it naturally comes from the states, is it a virtue to obstruct it? Is it a virtue to tell your chief ministers, no, even if it's an issue of national security, you will not be one with the central government? It is shocking that a party which is one of the oldest in this country, which has been in government for several decades, which probably during its governance also saw many of the accords, effective, not so effective accords. It probably never saw an opposition speaking against the interest of the country. I hope it is not doing it. I hope the Congress party understands the impact of such comments. Congress CMs not taken into confidence is what, thank you Bala, is what Srimati Sonia Gandhi has said. Congress chief ministers not taken into confidence. We reject this. We completely reject this. The chief ministers were called for consultation and the Congress chief ministers chose to boycott it. So this allegation which Srimati Sonia Gandhi has put against the government, saying the chief ministers were not consulted, it's because they chose not to want to come for the meetings. The Congress chose to boycott, just as they choose to boycott the parliament. The Congress party, if it goes at this rate, I'm not here to comment on it, but I will certainly observe that people of India are watching. Political parties' relevance remains intact as long as we remain connected with the people, as long as we speak the voice of the people. The people of India today want peace. The people of India today want no more terrorism. The people of India, particularly in the northeast, want an end to the insurgency, want development. And this government is fully putting its energy, its time and attention for making Northeast our gateway to the entire Southeast Asia. And we want Northeast to develop. And at this time, to reject your own chief minister's voices, to ask them to remain quiet, if anything, remove the records of their comments, doesn't augur well for democracy. I take this to the second issue, the boycott, which is happening after the suspension of members. It's a sad day because it's the Speaker's decision. Never before has the Speaker been so much provoked as in the last 1 week, which we've seen, 10 days we've seen. The provocation was so obvious, and all of you all from the media gallery were watching it. And in spite of repeated warnings, the placards were on and on. Sometimes the placards were even thrown at the chief minister, at the Speaker's chamber, into her, somewhere close to her feet, blocking her from being visible to the members. These are completely against parliamentary etiquette. And Congress party, which repeatedly says, rules, you violated rules, you violated. Aren't they violating the rules by holding the placard against the face of the Speaker? And to compare constantly, oh, you also obstructed it in 2010. I'm sure my colleagues would have earlier also spoken to you about it. There's just no comparison between what happened in 2010 and what is happening today. In 2010, when we had asked for a JPC and that whole session, winter session of 2010 was a washout, by then it was apparent that the CAG report was on. The government saw the CBI itself move towards prosecution, and after all, we asked for a JPC, which at the end of the session, very undiplomatically, very much with a sense of exclusion rather than taking on political parties on board, the government of the day chose to give it in February of 2011 after that session was over, betraying the fact that JPC was to be given and it was a legitimate demand. But what actually is happening now is unfair. And to compare it and to tell the government now, the BJP ruled government now, that you also obstructed, is comparing oranges with apples, to say the least. थैंक यू।
कि मैंने ललित मोदी को यात्रा दस्तावेज देने के लिए ब्रिटिश सरकार से अनुरोध किया या सिफारिश की। मैं सदन के ऊपर खड़े होकर के पूरी जिम्मेदारी के साथ ये कहना चाहती हूं कि ये आरोप सिरे से गलत है, असत्य है, निराधार है।